Hi guys, welcome back to Spelling and Word Study. My name is Mrs. Rhoades and I'm here to get you started on Unit 20, the AL or UL ending. Please take a second to gather your materials. You will need your purple book open to page 125. You will also need some colorful pens, markers, or crayons. Remember, whatever I mark on my board, you should be marking on your paper. Please save room for a key as well. You'll notice that I already went ahead and broke all of our words into syllables using green vertical lines, and I used purple check marks to mark off the stressed syllables. So if you'd like to pause the video and mark up your list now, go ahead and do that. All right, so we have spent a lot of time talking about derivational suffixes. Remember, those are groups of letters that we can add to the end of a word to change its part of speech. So last week we worked on the suffixes ent and ence. We found out that we can use those endings to change back and forth between nouns and adjectives. So different becomes difference, independence becomes independent, and so forth. Well, this week we're going to learn how to add AL to a noun to turn it into an adjective. And then we're going to see some other words that are nouns and others that are adjectives that all end with AL. So not all of our words this week start off as nouns, but we'll talk about that more in a minute. Let's start by reading our list. Please repeat after me. Actual, animal, annual, capital, casual, criminal, external, factual, hospital, illegal, internal, manual, national, natural, personal, ritual, several, usual, vertical, and virtual. So all of our words this week end with AL. Some of them are nouns and some of them are adjectives. We have no verbs, no action words on our list this week. I want to start with a quick review of prefixes because we have some good ones on our list this week. Let's start by looking at the prefix X. Okay, the prefix X means out. So if something is happening in an external place, it's happening on the outside. Okay, so we have external things out here, and then we have internal things inside us, right? So if you think about somebody who's in a car accident, they're going to have external injuries that you can see because maybe they have cuts and bleeding, but then they also have to go to the hospital to be checked out because they might have internal injuries on the inside. And because those are inside, they're not as easy to see. So X means out, in can mean in, and then ill in the front of illegal means not. And that's an assimilated prefix because in can also mean not, right? If somebody's incoherent or something's indescribable, it means not, right? But if something is illegal, that right here, ill, is a form of in because in can morph into im, IR in words like irregular or irrational, and IL in words like illegal, illiterate, illogical. So here, ill means not, in means in, and X means out. So over here, blue box equals prefix. Okay, the next thing I want to do is I want to look for words on our list that are adjectives that started out as nouns. So for instance, if you look at the word personal, right? You see the word person hiding in there. Person is a noun. So if something is personal, it's happening to an individual person. It's not about everybody. It's not about the public. It's about the person. It's personal. Now we see this again with the word national. If something is national, if we have a national problem, that is happening across the nation. Okay, notice how the pronunciation changes here. So nation with a long A becomes national with a short A. Okay, but anything national has to do with the whole country, the whole nation. We also have the word natural. Do you see a noun hiding in there? Yeah, nature, right? Notice we had to drop that silent E before we added our suffix because our suffix starts with a vowel. So nature becomes natural. Anything that's natural comes from nature. So over here, all of our red words started as a noun and then changed to an adjective by adding AL. Okay. Now, we have some other words on our list that started out as nouns and changed to adjectives, but instead of adding just AL, we had to add UAL. So look at the word act right here, hiding inside actual. If something is actual, like it actually happened, it's real, right? An act is something that was done, right? An act of kindness, an act of cruelty. So if something is actual, it's a real act. We can change it to an adjective by adding UAL. Same thing with factual. If something is a fact, that's a noun, it's true. If somebody gives you the facts, they are giving you factual information. So over here, green box, we also have a noun changing to an adjective, but this time we have to add UAL. We're adding a whole extra letter and syllable there. Okay. Then we have a whole bunch of words on our list that are adjectives, but they don't have an easily recognized noun form, and I think that's because they come from Latin. So instead of having a real word like act or fact, you're going to find a Latin root hiding in there. So for instance, if something happens on an annual basis, it happens yearly. That is an adjective. And there's not a word hiding there, but A-N-N-U-M, annum, is, I believe, Latin for year. So there's our Latin root. Anything that has that chunk is going to have something to do with a year. Capital can also be an adjective. If you think about a capital letter, that's a certain kind of letter, or capital punishment, that also has a Latin root hiding in it, which is cap, which has to do with like the head. Casual, if something is casual, it's not fancy. So if your aunt is getting married and it's just going to be a small event at the beach, she might tell all her guests to wear casual clothes instead of fancy gowns and suits. Okay, so casual means not fancy, and that is also an adjective. We talked about external. If something's external, it's happening on the outside. That is also an adjective. If something is internal, it's happening on the inside, and that is another adjective. Okay, manual can be used as an adjective. If you have to do something manually, you have to do it by hand. M-A-N is another Latin root. Whenever you see it, it has something to do with the hands. Think of a manicure or a manuscript, right? So, if something's manual, you have to do it by hand. Several means many, right? Like we had several questions after that presentation. That's an adjective. Usual. If it's usual, then that means most of the time. So I could say that a breakfast burrito is my usual breakfast choice. Vertical, another adjective. It means up and down, right? If you buy a shirt that has vertical stripes, they're going to go up and down. The opposite would be horizontal stripes, like the stripes on the American flag. So that's also an adjective. And then virtual is another adjective, another describing word. And if something, like for instance, a few years ago, some kids learned in the classroom and some people had to learn on a computer, so they were learning virtually, right? So virtual can mean like not real or not face-to-face, but that's an adjective as well. So we have lots and lots of words here that can be used as a describing word, but they have no standalone base, right? No chunk that can stand by itself in the middle of the word. Then we have words here that are only used as nouns. Can you find some of them? Yeah, we have animal. That's a noun, right? We have, capital, I said it's an adjective if we're talking about capital letters or capital punishment, but if we're talking about the capital, like the capital of New York is Albany, well, that is being used as a noun. Criminal, a person who commits a crime, that is a noun. A hospital, a place where we bring sick people or people who need help, that is a noun. A ritual, that is a noun. So a ritual is like a series of steps that you follow. So maybe you follow a certain ritual when you're getting ready in the morning. Maybe you like to eat your breakfast first and then brush your teeth and then get dressed. So that's your routine, but within that you might have some rituals, some particular ways of doing things, okay? There are rituals that we follow on the first day of school. There are rituals that people follow at church. So let's just say a ritual is it's a series of steps that you follow, okay? I think I got out all the nouns, so that's good. I want you to notice, by the way, that some of our nouns just end with AL, like animal, hospital, and then some of them have this U in them. Ritual, manual. Oh, I didn't talk about this. I said manual is an adjective, right? If you do something by hand, but it can also be a noun. Like you have to follow the owner's manual if you don't know how your new dishwasher works, or you don't know how to turn off the hazard lights in your car. You have to look for the owner's manual, and that is a book of instructions. It tells you how to fix things or use things by hand. Okay, one last thing I wanted to talk about. When you get to page 128, yes, I've got things dropping everywhere, you are going to have more practice turning nouns to adjectives. You're going to turn nation to national, nature to natural, person to personal, those are all here, But then other words like propose to proposal, rehearse to rehearsal, emotion to emotional. As you do this, I want you to notice how the pronunciations, the way you say the words, changes. All right, that's all I have for you today. I think we talked about all of our vocabulary, so you are ready to go. Good luck.